Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Film Posters. My name is Huang, and today I'm joined by my co-host Anna, and we're here to talk to you about the newest film hitting theaters, Emily the Criminal. Emily the Criminal is about, obviously, Emily, who is saddled with student debt and locked out of the job market due to a minor criminal record, and she gets involved in a credit card scam that pulls her into the criminal underworld of Los Angeles, which ultimately leads to deadly consequences. Now, we're going to kick this into our first reactions. Personally, I enjoyed the film. I thought the way that the thriller escalates the plot, I thought it was well done, especially considering that this film was made for $1 million. I really thought that they made good use of the budget. However, I do have a bit of a nitpick. It's a minor nitpick. Now, we were discussing this with a fellow critic, and he had pointed out that had Emily the Criminal been based on like a true story, I think they would have been a little bit more impressed with the film itself because there were moments that did feel like a real life situation. However, because it was a fictional story, we kind of wish they had gone a little bit further with the story and had a little more action scenes just to kind of push that action crime thriller genre. I think Anna, you're in the same boat with that one.
That was literally my first thought of the films. I really wish there could have been more action to the movie, but in a sense, it was more like a little bit of Hollywood's like sprinkle in the film. However, like if you sit back, it does portray like a reality that
Yeah.
most people live in, and it goes well with really like the social commentary in this movie.
Yeah, the commentary here on how people with criminal records, regardless of how minor that crime may have been, and how they're right away considered outlaws of society and forever a criminal, and how that makes it hard for them to actually get jobs in the real world, as we see Emily go through. I thought it was really well done. There's a scene in here where she had to explain her record to a potential boss, and that felt like the most degrading experience. And I thought the film depicted that really well because even we felt bad for our main character, Emily, and Aubrey Plaza nails what that feels like. I thought she perfectly showcased in that scene what it felt like to have the capitalistic structure hold like a metaphorical knife to her throat. It was impressive the way she handled this. And speaking of Aubrey Plaza, I personally loved her performance as Emily. I thought she was a badass. She really shows how versatile of an actress she is. And she just continues to amaze. I thought she easily carried this film and pulls off some great dramatic moments. I genuinely think that this role was meant for her. I couldn't see anyone else playing the role. The way she transformed herself into the character, I thought was impressive. And her character, again, she becomes a badass. She holds her own in this crime world. She begins to kind of like thrive out of a need for survival. I thought that was really great.
If you think about it, this movie is really a character study on how the personal struggles and how an unfair system can combine and literally put someone in a corner and just like there's no else to do than have a life of crime. And that's something that Emily was experiencing because obviously we kind of sympathize with her because she's out here trying to live a life, but you see her struggle, and then you find how she literally gets a little bit of freedom in the film by committing these crimes. And in a sense, she also has a sense of power along with it. So I feel that you kind of sympathize with her because you get what she's going through and how literally again millions of people struggle with student debt, and it's something that everybody relates to, and you just sympathize with her. Like you want her to get away with it and get away with what she's doing. And there's some times in the film that you're like, oh my god, what's going to happen to her, what's going to happen to her next, and you're just like worried that something's gonna happen or is she gonna get caught. But at the end, it's like, no, no, she has it. She's a badass in here.
Yeah, like you said, you really feel for Emily. She's trying to survive this adult world and move forward with her life. Like she just wants to get rid of her student debt. She just wants to pay that off because between being having that criminal record and having those student debts, she feels like the world is against her. And you even feel for some of the characters who choose to commit the crimes that happen in this film. Like, no, you don't agree with how they go about it, or maybe wouldn't do the same as they do, but you understand how they ended up in that position and why they're doing that because of an unjust society that is kind of like punishing them for one mistake that they may have made.
Like in the first part of the movie, like the reason why she can't get jobs is because she has committed a felony, and we get to see the consequences, the prosecutions that she gets just because of that, and how literally she's driving to the corner because she wants to thrive. And then we see her like in the other like second job interview with the internship. Everybody has felt that in their lifetime, and literally it's such a horrible thing, and you just feel for her when that happens.
Yeah, even though that's towards the end of the film, you kind of see that there is no progression for her scenario, which is what pushes a lot of the decisions that come afterwards. And you had mentioned something that at times this film, I don't think it got to the degree of Uncut Gems, but you kind of did feel this anxiety for the character. You still worry for Emily when she's on screen. You worry if she's going to get away with some of the things she's asked to do here. And you do kind of root for her. This film does make you want to shout at the screen, good for her, because you are rooting for this person to get away with certain things, but also succeed where others haven't. And I think overall, I think it's safe to say that this film, it's a thrilling, easy to watch film that you'll kind of want to stick around to the end to see what happens. You know, it's 95 minutes. That's great for audiences who like thrillers and films that go with the flow. You'll at least be entertained and impressed with how Aubrey Plaza's character holds her own. If anything, you should see this film for Aubrey Plaza. I mean, her chemistry with Yusef Theo Rossi was really great, in my opinion.
Yeah, and overall her performance was really good. And I like how she's low-key thriving in indie films.
She was in Black Bear last year, which is a performance I personally loved. Couldn't stop recommending that film to people. I still recommend it to people. She is thriving in these like small budget indie films because she just shows how much range she has as an actress. Like she could really do anything, in my opinion. I liked how this film kept me on my feet with the thrills. And while I think we both more or less knew what the outcome more or less could be, we still rooted for her. The ending brings home the message of the film really well, like how society treats people with criminal records, makes them feel like they will possibly never be able to redeem themselves from that moment. And it's not exactly what you might expect as the ending, but I thought it does work. If you like this film, you'll probably end up supporting, women's rights and women's wrongs. I'd almost say this is Aubrey Plaza's Uncut Gems, but it was missing a bit more of that adrenaline rush to get this film there. I don't think it does anything too exceptional, but the film is elevated.
I feel that this is like the justified version of Uncut Gems.
This is the ossified version of Uncut Gems, absolutely. And the film itself is elevated by Aubrey Plaza's performance, the same way Uncut Gems was elevated by Adam Sandler's performance. I think that's the best way to describe this film. It would
Yeah,
have been great to see more action, but it's entertaining.
yeah, it's definitely a solid crime thriller that it's a must watch, and I feel that moviegoers are just gonna enjoy watching it on the theater.
Yeah, I think it was a good time at the movie theaters. If you're hesitant about seeing this film, I would recommend you check out the matinee for this film. Uh, I don't exactly know if it's completely film poser approved. We might give it the pass because it's Aubrey Plaza, but I would give this like a 3.5 out of 5. I was entertained. I wanted a bit more just to make it perfect, but overall I thought it worked. The stakes they're shown, they are dangerous, they are relatable. You just wanted it to go that extra mile.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna give it a 3 because it is a solid film. It has great performances by Audrey Plaza, and I really like the social commentary on here. I just wish that again, I think it was just me wanting that little like Hollywood sprinkle with more action and like more intensity in like those kind of scenes. But I don't know if another person would have felt the same.
But I do think it is fair to say we both think you should check out Emily the Criminal in theaters. You should check your local listings if you live in Puerto Rico. It is right now playing at the Fine Arts Theater in Popular Center and Miramar. So that is our review of Emily the Criminal. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, you can hit the like button and subscribe. Let us know what you thought of Emily the Criminal down in the comments. And you can follow us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Film Posers. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, we're all film posers. Bye.
Bye.